Welcome. Today we will be reading lesson 42 in the workbook and from the text, chapter 5, section 3, the Guide to Salvation, paragraphs 1 through 7. And now for lesson 42. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. The idea for today combines two very powerful thoughts, both of major importance. It also sets forth a cause and effect relationship that explains why you cannot fail in your efforts to achieve the goal of the course. You will see because it is the will of God. It is his strength, not your own, that gives you power. And it is his gift rather than your own that offers vision to you. God is indeed your strength, and what he gives is truly given. This means that you can receive it anytime and anywhere. Wherever you are and in whatever circumstance you find yourself. Your passage through time and space is not at random. You cannot but be in the right place at the right time. Such is the strength of God. Such are his gifts. We will have 2 3 to 5 minute practice periods today. One as soon as possible after you wake, and another as close as possible to the time you go to sleep. It is better, however, to wait until you can sit quietly by yourself, at a time when you feel ready, than it is to be concerned with the time as such. Begin these practice periods by repeating the idea for today slowly, with your eyes open, looking about you. Then close your eyes and repeat the idea again, even slower than before. After this, try to think of nothing except thoughts that occur to you in relation to the idea for the day. You might think, for example, vision must be possible. God gives truly. Or, God's gifts to me must be mine, because he gave them to me. Any thought that is clearly related to the idea for today is suitable. You may, in fact, be astonished at the amount of course-related understanding some of your thoughts contain. Let them come without censoring, unless you find your mind is merely wandering, and you have let, obviously, irrelevant thoughts intrude. You may also reach a point where no thoughts at all seem to come to mind. If such interferences occur, open your eyes and repeat the thought once more, while looking slowly about. Close your eyes, repeat the idea once more, and then continue to look for related thoughts in your mind. Remember, however, that active searching for relevant thoughts is not appropriate for today's exercises. Try merely to step back and let the thoughts come. If you find this difficult, it is better to spend the practice period alternating between slow repetitions of the idea with eyes open, then with eyes closed, than it is to strain to find suitable thoughts. There is no limit on the number of short practice periods that would be beneficial today. The idea for the day is a beginning step in bringing thoughts together and teaching you that you are studying a unified thought system in which nothing is lacking that is needed, and nothing is included that is contradictory or irrelevant. The more often you repeat the idea during the day, the more often you will be reminding yourself that the goal of the course is important to you and that you have not forgotten it. In today's lesson, two ideas are offered. The first is that one's strength comes from love. The unlimited and eternal nature of love makes one invulnerable, while the limited and time-bound nature of the ego's fear leads to weakness and to threat. The second idea is that love gives vision, which is the gift of seeing the world afresh through kind and loving eyes. This new way of seeing leads to true or accurate perception, which is acquired by looking without judgment. In today's lesson, one is being encouraged to open to variations and combinations of the lesson-related thoughts that arise in one's mind. It is pointed out that one will become aware that one's mind has gained more understanding of the course's teaching than one may have imagined. For within oneself, a unified thought system is developing, involving the combined ideas of the course's teachings. And now for our text reading for today, from Chapter 5, Section 3, The Guide to Salvation, paragraphs 1 through 7. The way to recognize your brother is by recognizing the Holy Spirit in him. I have already said that the Holy Spirit is the bridge for the transfer of perception to knowledge. So we can use the terms as if they were related, because in his mind they are. This relationship must be in his mind, because unless it were, the separation between the two ways of thinking would not be open to healing. He is part of the Holy Trinity, because his mind is partly yours and also partly God's. This needs clarification, not in statement, but in experience. The Holy Spirit is the idea of healing. Being thought, the idea gains as it is shared. Being the call for God, it is also the idea of God. Since you are part of God, it is also the idea of yourself, as well as of all his creations. The idea of the Holy Spirit shares the property of other ideas, because it follows the laws of the universe of which it is a part. It is strengthened by being given away. It increases in you as you give it to your brother. Your brother does not have to be aware of the Holy Spirit in himself or in you for this miracle to occur. He may have dissociated the call for God just as you have. This dissociation is healed in both of you as you become aware of the call for God in him, and thus acknowledge its being. There are two diametrically opposed ways of seeing your brother. They must both be in your mind, because you are the perceiver. They must also be in his, because you are perceiving him. See him through the Holy Spirit in his mind, and you will recognize him in yours. What you acknowledge in your brother, you are acknowledging in yourself, and what you share, you strengthen. The voice of the Holy Spirit is weak in you. That is why you must share it. It must be increased in strength before you can hear it. It is impossible to hear it in yourself while it is so weak in your mind. It is not weak in itself, but it is limited by your unwillingness to hear it. If you make the mistake of looking for the Holy Spirit in yourself alone, your thoughts will frighten you, because by adopting the ego's viewpoint, you are undertaking an ego-alien journey with the ego as guide. This is bound to produce fear. Delay is of the ego, because time is its concept. Both time and delay are meaningless in eternity. I have said before that the Holy Spirit is God's answer to the ego. Everything of which the Holy Spirit reminds you is in direct opposition to the ego's notions, because true and false perceptions are themselves opposed. The Holy Spirit has the task of undoing what the ego has made. He undoes it at the same level on which the ego operates, or the mind would be unable to understand the change. I have repeatedly emphasized that one level of the mind is not understandable to another. So it is with the ego and the Holy Spirit, with time and eternity. Eternity is an idea of God, so the Holy Spirit understands it perfectly. Time is a belief of the ego, so the lower mind, which is the ego's domain, accepts it without question. The only aspect of time that is eternal is now. The Holy Spirit is the mediator between the interpretations of the ego and the knowledge of the Spirit. His ability to deal with symbols enables him to work with the ego's beliefs in its own language. His ability to look beyond symbols into eternity enables him to understand the laws of God, for which he speaks. He can therefore perform the function of reinterpreting what the ego makes, not by destruction, but by understanding. Understanding is light, and light leads to knowledge. The Holy Spirit is in light because he is in you who are light. But you yourself do not know this. It is therefore the task of the Holy Spirit to reinterpret you on behalf of God. In this section, one learns that one can recognize who another is by seeing them as the Holy Spirit sees them, which is to see them as holy, complete, innocent, and eternal, rather than seeing them as a separated ego among other egos. One cannot find the Holy Spirit by only looking for it within oneself, while seeing one's neighbor as an ego. For what one sees in the other, one will see in oneself. The ego is incapable of understanding the Holy Spirit, and has no idea what the eternal is, being confined by the world of time. The only part of time that is eternal is the sacred now. The Holy Spirit is able to reinterpret the ego's beliefs, bringing a new understanding that is more aligned with the light of truth. The Holy Spirit is involved in the undoing of the ego, not through destruction and attack, but by the light of understanding. And though one does not realize it yet, one is this light.